Hey, my name is Arlene, you're watching Striving Artist, and today's episode I'm so excited. We have an incredible talent. He is the owner, operator, head choreographer, head teacher here at City Centre Dance in Mississauga, Ontario. We've got Alex Pollard here with me.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. Just for our creative viewers, give us a little bit of background about what you do.
I've been dancing professionally and choreographing for over 8 years now. I'm originally based in Toronto, as all of my work was there. I've choreographed and performed for events like the Juno Awards, Much Music's, Electric Circus, YTV's The Next Star, and other local shows such as Choreographer's Ball, Fever After Dark. I've worked for Habitat for Humanity. I've done all sorts of different events and collaborated with a lot of different organizations.
I want to go back a little bit to your experience when you started dancing, or when was that moment when you thought like, oh, I want my own studio? Was it like from, seeing somebody else having their own, or was it at a necessity?
Right, well, I used to volunteer. I worked for a dance studio, a drop-in dance studio like this, downtown Toronto, OIP. It doesn't exist anymore, but that was a studio that everyone went to train. It was like the top studio in Toronto at the time.
Nice.
So I did all of their social media for about over a year. And I got to learn a lot about how a drop-in studio runs, and that was at a very young age. I was like 15 doing that. So I did it in high school for high school hours. And then I got all of my training there as well and all of my networks. So it was a really good experience. But I didn't start this project of opening City Centre Dance until my last year of university. Then I was like, oh, I'm graduating, so what's next? And so then I really thought about it, and I thought, I have the experience, I have the networks, I have the knowledge. I thought that I can provide to Mississauga because they don't have a drop-in dance studio, like this one at least. And we have a lot of the professional choreographers and teachers from downtown Toronto now coming here. So we don't have to travel anymore. Like I was traveling to Toronto to train and to perform. So now I just want to create opportunities for the city that I grew up in.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
When you thought about it, was it like, how do I start? Or because of your training, did you know like who to approach, or was it like looking for mentorship? What is something that someone out there in the creative audience can do that you've done?
I had the advantage of using the networks that I have created because a lot of the people that are teaching here actually hired me as a dancer for different gigs that they've had or different projects that they've had. So I've known them all for years. So I'm lucky in that sense. But otherwise, the business side of things, I took a lot of courses, and that I had to learn, from scratch, and I'm still learning as I go.
So would you recommend to build your network within, like, either through volunteer or like going to networking events? Like, is that something that you really found helpful? I
found that working professionally was the way that I built my networks. So I would recommend for anybody to build your networks first. It'll just make everything a lot easier because then also people will support what you're doing, they'll support your cause, they'll support why you're doing it if they know you and you have that connection with them.
And how is a good way that you found that was successful for you to approach these people? Like, what are like a few essential things that you need to have or say?
For networking in general, always have your business card. Always. So I always have my business card, even if I go to like a cafe, because you never know who you're going to talk to. And I find that like any opportunity is, networking really to talk to someone. But I find that having your business card and just basically talking about what you do and introducing yourself, giving a bit of background about yourself, I find that that's typically what I'll do when networking. Yeah. So I went to a regional arts school, Iona, and I had a really good opportunity to train with Angela Capriccio, who was my teacher all 4 years. Well, I was only in the program for 3 because it was grade 10. So all 3 years, the rest of my career at high school, I got to train with her. She taught me ballet, she taught me modern, she taught me jazz. So she taught me a lot of the styles that are classical and that I was introduced to. And so she's amazing. She went to NYU, she danced with the Jose Limon Company. So she really knew what she was doing, and so I don't think I would have grown as quickly as I did if I wasn't training under her. And then throughout high school, I was also on the ensembles at school.
Yeah.
And then I did my internship at the dance studio I told you about, OIP.
Yeah.
So I took all of the classes, beginner to advanced. Every day I was there, all day, all evening. Just training in contemporary jazz, jazz funk, hip hop,
Right.
any style that I could. I was training in. And so all of the people that were teaching there, all of the faculty, they were all working professionals. They did like So You Think You Can Dance Canada, all of these different shows and movies that they've done. And so that was the studio that you wanted to be at,
Right.
you know, to build those networks. So I had the great opportunity to take class for free because I was working there.
Got it.
As a volunteer.
That's really cool.
So that helped my training, and that helped me grow as quickly as I did, and that's why I started working early on in my career.
That's actually super inspiring, I think, for those people in the audience that like are thinking like, oh, you know, I'm too old to dance, or like, and I didn't start when I was little, but you started like at 15, and then you've developed all these opportunities and experiences.
Something that was constant was just constantly pushing, you know, to keep going and to keep training, because it's really hard.
Right.
Especially when you are starting out
Yep.
and you're looking for work and you have to take the free work. I think that was always hard for me because I was exhausted and I was stretching myself so thinly because I wanted to do as much as I could and put myself out there. So I think the lack of balance was something that I always had.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, and now I have a balance because I can pick and choose what I want to do.
Right.
And I no longer take free work as well, so that's, of course, given my experience. There's a point where you don't anymore.
Right.
We all have to.
Of course.
We all have to, but after, you know, a certain amount, you understand what you're worth and you're able to break it down to, you know, different clients.
So you're creating work for you, but you're also creating a space. How important is that to you?
Very important, because like I said, I didn't have a space like this growing up.
Yeah.
And I'm still training. I'm always going to be training.
Right.
So this is also a place for me now to train, finally close to home.
Nice.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I mean, Mississauga is a huge city. There's almost 1 million people here.
Yeah.
So I think that we need a lot more in terms of, you know, where we can access things, like classes.
Sure. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, how did you feel, like describe to us how you felt like when you first opened the doors? Like nervous, were you excited, like were you...
It was a mix of everything.
Yeah,
I was nervous, excited, anxious, stressed, overwhelmed, especially at the beginning. A lot, you know, people weren't showing up for class, and it was hard, and I was getting discouraged because I was like, oh, did I not do my research right? Is there not a market for this after all? And now, I mean, classes are filled all the time, and people are always here, and so now I really understand that there was a market, and there always was a market for it. And what's nice and what keeps me going is that there's always new people every week that I'm meeting, and I feel like it'll be like that for a while.
Right.
And then every program or event that we introduce, there's always new people signing up, and there's always a huge demand for it. So I always second guess myself.
Nice. There are going to be people that come, or like there are going to be people that like what I do. They want to learn and all this stuff. So I'm excited. Like this is the change room of City Center Dance. Beautiful.
Yeah, the women's change room.
The ladies' change room. But we are going to take a look at his studio in a little bit. Maybe you're going to show me some dance moves later.
Absolutely.
But we are going to get into more of the nitty-gritty back with Alex Pollard. Stay tuned, guys.